All right. Well, hello everybody. This is Andrew Hunzicker with DOPE CFO, co-founder with Naomi Granger. I have over 20 years experience as CPA and CFO and been in cannabis industry, I think about 6 now. Let me let Naomi introduce yourself.
Hey, it's Naomi, and I've got about 12 years of cannabis accounting, or 12 years of accounting experience, 2 years in cannabis accounting, and I'm co-founder of DOPE CFO with Andrew Hunzicker.
And then today we've got our special guest, Summer Wilkinson. She's the co-founder of DOPE CFO Services. It's a tax and advisory firm that services the cannabis industry. She, again, has many years as a CPA and serving many niches, over 18 years providing tax and accounting services. About 2 years ago, Summer made the leap to the cannabis industry and has not looked back. Really doing a great job, and really in kind of one of the backward states, Texas, which is behind. So
very backward.
Great example. So, Summer, do you want to say hi and add anything to that as well?
Hi, and thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to talking about the differences between CBD, THC, and what's happening in the industry today.
All right. Well, great. Well, Naomi, why don't you get started, and we'll that is the topic today, kind of CBD versus THC, and maybe for those of you who don't know, I'll frame it right off the bat. If you saw two plants side by side, hemp and marijuana, they will look identical, and the only difference in the hemp plant, it has to have less than 0.3% THC. That's kind of the definition of hemp. So a hemp and a cannabis plant have many chemicals in them, one of which is THC. In both of them, it's just minute amounts in the hemp plant. So basically it won't get you high. So that said, I'll let Naomi take over.
Okay, awesome. So first, let's just talk about what's going on. So unless you've been hiding under a rock the last several years, you'll notice that cannabis is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Unfortunately, CEOs are getting into serious trouble because they aren't following the rules. So either they don't know them, or they try to bend them and be cute around the rules, or they don't think that they'll get caught. But cannabis is highly regulated. We're seeing audits. We're seeing it's almost given that if you're bringing in millions of dollars, the IRS is going to be looking into you as well as the state regulatory agencies. So it's important to know how to properly navigate the rules so that you don't get into any trouble.
Okay, and today we're going to specifically discuss the difference between CBD and THC. As many of you are aware, hemp was taken off Schedule 1, I believe it was April or May of this year. It's governed by the USDA. So it's not a controlled substance, meaning it's not subject to 280E like cannabis is. So that's big and good news. For cannabis or hemp and CBD, it's also legal in federally nationwide, but 46 states actually have approved their own hemp laws and regulations as well. Note, this is simply information that we're giving you. There's always special circumstances. So before you make any decisions around CBD or hemp, make sure to consult an expert about your own tax and accounting situation and or legal as well. Summer, I'm going to welcome you, and why don't you jump in with your kind of main points about differences.
Sure. Well, like we talked about, I mean, there's several differences that I jotted down here in my notes to talk about today. And as you mentioned, now CBD hemp is legal under the 2018 Farm Bill, while as marijuana, anything containing more than 0.3% of THC is still illegal and subject to, under the federal, it's legal either medicinally or recreationally in 33 states. CBD hemp is not subject to 280E anymore. The THC side of things still is. There's differences in it.
Can I just jump in right there? And for people who don't know, what does that mean, 280E? Does that mean what can a hemp company deduct versus a cannabis company not being able to deduct?
Right. Well, generally only a cannabis company can deduct their cost of goods sold, whereas now hemp operates just like a regular business where they can deduct their cost of goods sold, all of their operating, general and administrative, and selling expenses.
Okay, that's great background.
Yeah.
And so why don't we talk about, so 280E, for those of you who don't know, is one sentence long, and it basically says if you sell a Schedule 1 drug, you can't deduct anything or take any credits. You still get cost of goods sold because that's part of the definition of taxable income. But then if we jump over to CBD, like you just said, there's many other tax codes available. So do you want to kind of cover some of those different tax codes, 471,
Yeah.
etc.?
Yeah, I was thinking about that today in preparation for this. I think one of the primary things is under 280E, you're not allowed to use the UNICAP rules under section 263A, where you can put more indirect costs to cost of goods sold and take more for a tax deduction on cost of goods sold. That's not allowed under 280E. You're not allowed to take those 263A costs. So that's one, I think, a big difference that's going to really open up things. And then also another difference is under 280E, you're not allowed to take your bonus depreciation for taxes or your section 179, which would allow you to depreciate in the year of purchase the cost of your equipment. There are some limitations as to amounts and things like that.
And that's massive because, and my brain is spinning with opportunity. So when you think about farming or processing or food production, massive amounts of equipment and real estate and buildings are needed. And if you can get all that extra depreciation, it can be huge. And many hemp growers or cannabis growers, I think, are going to start adding hemp into their farms so they can somehow allocate some of those deductions. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But
it will be.
Cannabis companies.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, those big old combines and things that they use to plant and to harvest hemp, especially outdoors, because I think hemp is grown mostly outdoors, whereas cannabis, for all my research, they do better indoors, growing that indoors. So there's a lot of, I think, opportunity costs, at least tax advantages to making that kind of investment in that equipment for hemp.
Yeah.
And like you said, the processing, both are processed, and that equipment is very expensive as well.
Yeah, very expensive. And then you get, if the CEO, and I know already people in Oregon that are doing this, that have cannabis farms, they add in a CBD, if they can get a hemp farm as well, then all of a sudden they've got a new source of revenue that's on cannabis, plus they can allocate some of those costs like overhead over to the non-cannabis hemp division.
Right.
So they see it as a big opportunity.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be, definitely. Another difference or distinctiveness between THC and hemp CBD is that under the hemp, you're going to have your tax credits available. Things like the R&D tax credit, research and development. Say you work on you develop a strain of cannabis that's lower than 0.3 THC that is super resilient to insects or to drought or something like that. There's tax credits out there that you can take for developing these things, or say you come up with a new growing method, something like that. So there's lots of opportunities to make developments and advances in growing hemp, or even processing hemp, or maybe it's a new, I don't know, nutraceutical or something with CBD in it that you're researching and developing. So I think there's lots of opportunities there where under 280E, you're not allowed to take those credits.
And maybe since Summer's from Texas, and we all know that's one of the biggest farming states in the country, and it's humongous, huge population. Texas has been very anti-cannabis so far. They have very limited medical application, almost no companies. But with hemp CBD coming in, what kind of opportunity is this making in you're seeing in a non-cannabis state. Are you seeing lots of activity in hemp and CBD?
I'm seeing a lot of activity. Of course, I'm active in a lot of the cannabis groups around here, which we do have several activist groups, and now the farming groups, the CBD groups, the business groups. We have a Texas Cannabis Business Alliance that's up and running. So I've been attending a lot of hemp CBD functions in that arena, and there's a lot of interest. Like you said, Texas is a huge state with a large population. We've got a lot of land, and especially in West Texas and South Texas, where they do a lot of farming, I think there's a lot of interest in growing hemp in those areas, and they're all distinctively different areas as far as the humidity, or are they dry, things like that. So.
And even we haven't talked about, but just with hemp versus cannabis, there's just so many uses of the plants. I mean, you can make clothes or cement, or it's not only the medicine of CBD. So there's many uses, and I think the crop will be valuable. What if we transition real quickly into court cases? One thing I've noticed, so especially IRS cases coming in to look at cannabis companies, in Colorado was first legalized. They let them operate a couple of years, and they come in and audit it a couple of years later, and then they go through the courts. And so we're just seeing the results of cases that go back to 2008 or 2010 right now in cannabis. So when you think about if you're a founder of a CBD or hemp company, you need to be thinking about, okay, they're going to get to you, the IRS will, because these are big businesses, big dollars, but it might be a couple of years. You don't want to have happen to you what happened to, say, the Altermans, for example. You want to think ahead and think, I want to minimize my tax, but I don't want to be so aggressive that when the IRS comes, I lose a huge case because some attorneys advise me to play all kinds of games. So do you want to comment on that, on what kind of strategies are available, or how they should plan?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of this, they have commonalities with any business out there. I think if you're starting a business, number one, you need to get an attorney that is well-versed and not in all of this playing games, setting up a management company over here to do to do this for your cannabis company over there. And I think they need to get a CPA or tax advisor that's well-versed and that hopefully will work with the attorney. A lot of times attorneys and CPAs, I don't know why, they don't reach out and work together, but they really should. I know getting into this industry, I've made some relationships with a couple of attorneys, and it really works out well for the client. I mean, the ultimate goal is to do the right thing by the client.
To help them.
Right, to help them.
And that said, we've talked about CBD being legal, but I think there's a lot of misconception in the public. It's like, oh, CBD is legal. It's like I'm going to make a ladder and sell ladders. I can do whatever I want. CBD is still highly regulated. Do you want to talk about who's regulating and CBD hemp?
Well, we've got the FDA that's going to get involved in regulating that. We've got the USDA that is going to be regulating. Then you've got your state agriculture commissions that are going to be regulating. So there's tons of regulations that are going to apply to the industry. And I kind of think of it like the big pharma industry or the alcohol industry, heavily regulated industries. And when you're audited by these people, these regulators, they're not only going to want to see, they're going to want to see your financial information along with your compliance information, how you're complying to their rules and all of that. So you need to have processes and procedures all ready to go that you're following, that you're training your employees in. Accounting procedures, this is how we're going to do this, the accounting every month, these are the reports you're getting. Everything just needs to be ticked and tied out for every item on your financials.
And really, how you're, that's a great point. All these different agencies and having someone who's monitoring compliance with all these different groups, and even the counties. I know when I worked out on the farm a few years back, they just dealing with the county can be a huge headache. And so you're dealing with all these agencies, and maybe you don't have your lux from the county yet, and you're just stuck. You can't do what you need to do to bring in electrical power. And so I know one issue with cannabis farms is bringing in massive amounts of power, getting it out to these or rural areas, because they're needing massive amount of lighting and way more power than a normal farm would have. So you're just dealing with, yes, the state and the county, but then you got OSHA, FDA, USDA, even the EPA tells you what pesticides you can do. So you don't want to get any of those agencies can shut you down too. So it's like, it's just, you got to have all your ducks in a row if you're going to be going into this industry.
Right. And even a small operation is a huge investment. So
that's a good point.
You don't want to lose that investment.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a small farm, and really it doesn't matter if it's indoor, outdoor. Indoor can be every bit as expensive. We have clients both indoor and outdoor that are spending millions of dollars. It's just not cheap to build out a farm. Same on the dispensary side or processing. Again, that equipment is very expensive. And so that's our first advice to any CEO or investor. You better make sure your company is well capitalized, because it takes huge investment and you don't want to lose it. Like you said, that's a great point.
Yeah, and that's where we can come in too, and providing business plans and things like that for them,
and helping
and pro formas and things like that, so they can get their numbers together to be well capitalized and get their investors.
Well, that's a great transition. Naomi, do you want to take over and we'll talk more about kind of your business and how you've transitioned over the last year and a half?
Yeah, awesome. So Summer, we know you started with us a little over a year and a half ago, and you had an existing business and you were servicing other niches. And so just tell us a little bit about how did you transition into the cannabis industry, and about when you landed your first clients. I remember the post and emails going out and proposals going out and being nervous, and then finally, yay, I got one.
Yeah. Yeah, finally. Yeah. Well, thanks to the program, I had some good education behind accounting for cannabis and doing the taxes. And then I told you guys the other day, kind of gave you my background, since it's been almost 2 years since I joined the program, that I was a managing partner at a firm, but was wanting to leave that. My partner wasn't so great, and I was having some problems there. And just trying, like you said, we served everybody. We niched in almost everything. It's just it's impossible to do that and be a subject matter expert and serve that client well. And I had been reading over the past few years about you need to find a niche, and I couldn't find, I didn't find one that I really wanted to work with until I found your program and joined that. And then it did take me a few months. I joined in January, I think, which was right as tax season was beginning. So I didn't even know I was the first student you had until several months later. But it's like, kind of by the time I got my head up from tax season, you guys had this program rolling. There was the Facebook community. So I never really ever even, felt alone. You guys answered any questions I had. So yeah, by the time April was over and I was really ready to focus on this a little bit more, it was a really good opportunity. Like you said, I'm in Texas. I'm in North Texas, so I'm really close to Oklahoma. So about that time, Oklahoma did their vote and made medical cannabis legal. So I just took every opportunity to attend anything I could in Oklahoma and just get my name out there. And I kind of, I know in your program, you really encourage us to reach out to CEOs via LinkedIn or any way we can find. But I have found that the best way is just to become a subject matter expert in the area, attend events, talk to people, network. I volunteer to speak anywhere possible, that I can reasonably drive to, that kind of thing. And then with hemp opening up in Texas, I've had all sorts of opportunities because I've been involved in several groups from the ground up to again, go out, network, meet CEOs. And I believe that's, it takes months to develop these relationships and get your name out there. But
I was going to say something. Yeah, that's a huge part. And we start that on day one because it is so huge. We call that VIP, valuable expert, instructor, participant. You've done that amazingly well. And it's the key secret sauce for the long-term huge success. And it's something, yeah, that we love seeing you active in others in that space.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun. I really didn't even know how to network
Yeah.
until I started. I'm like, how do you network? I didn't even know how to do that until I started going out and doing this and just meeting people. And I think being passionate about the niche, it makes it so much easier to talk.
Yeah, when you think of old school networking and where, when I used to be a CFO, it's like, oh, you go to have coffee with a lawyer or you go to a networking event. This is totally different. You don't call it networking. You say, you're going to get involved in this niche, in this industry. You're going to go to niche events and meet others and work with others. And all of a sudden you're not networking. You're just active in the industry and an expert. And yeah, like you say, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just totally different. I never got excited about going to have coffee with an attorney.
Or trading business cards, yeah.
Right, or calling up or meeting, trying to get into the medical industry or anything like that. So this is definitely, I don't know, I guess I just kind of hit my passion. Didn't even know it was going to be a passion until I got involved.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about what you're involved, because you're in a state that it's still not legal, and a lot of people have concerns. Well, it's not legal in my state. I can't get involved. So tell us a little bit about what you are doing in the state of Texas to stay current and stay involved.
All right. Well, if you look around in your state, if you're in a state where cannabis is not legal at any point at all, kind of look around your state, I just started doing some Facebook searches, which, I mean, marijuana is not promoted on Facebook. I also started doing some web searches, and I found what is it? Marijuana for, I can't remember, responsible. I just spoke at the marijuana policy conference, which was sponsored by these people. But they're the lobbyists in Texas that are lobbying for the legalization of marijuana. And they've been around for only a couple of years, probably about the time I was, getting interested in the industry. They were starting, but so I've gotten involved with them. I've also gotten involved I've joined our Texas Cannabis Industry Association. So I would say do some Google searches. I'm originally from Alabama, even though I've been in Texas like 29 years now. So I kind of keep an eye on Alabama as well. I've got family there and everything. So Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition has a Facebook page. And they're really good about keeping you apprised of what's going on in Alabama and how they're voting. And Alabama, their legislature this year passed some legislation to research how to start a cannabis program in Alabama. So that was
one good point you brought up, Summer, is that whether it's a cannabis state or not, there's more than likely activist and lobbyist groups to get involved in. And it's huge because most of the people in these lobbyist groups that are pushing the whole movement forward nationwide are future CEOs and investors. Those are the people who want this to be legal. It's not just random people.
And normal's in every state.
Yeah, normal.
You could join your local normal chapter and
meet tons of them.
Yeah, meet tons of people. Yeah. I would say these events are just a little bit funner than other events too.
That's normally what Summer's referring to is norml.org.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's also the National Cannabis Industry Association, and they have events in different states throughout the year if you wanted to keep an eye. And you don't have to be a member to attend those events. I just recently became a member. And even
there's different demographic groups. So there's tons of, for example, women's cannabis groups, Women Grow or
Women
Elemental.
Grow, yeah.
So
With hemp being legal too, I should mention, I met a guy I met him actually in April with the Alabama Hemp Growers Association. He's been making the rounds in every state. He said he'd just been in Oregon when I met him, and he was in Texas at an event we were at.
Wow.
Just to get educated. So reach out also to, if Google hemp, Google CBD, Google, see if you can find these your local associations to join. Start one. If you can't find anything, start one.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So Summer is one of the members of our program. As she mentioned earlier, she's one of the first members that joined back in January of 2018. And so I just want to tell a little bit about the program. We have a plug and play program that gets you into the industry. You're ready to work with clients on day one of joining the program. You have all the work papers and the resources that you started immediately. If you would like more information about the program, you can text DOPE CFO, that's all caps, no spaces, DOPE CFO. Text that to 345-345. It's DOPE CFO to 345-345. We'll send you a 10-minute video with more information, a link to book a call with us, and we'll also send you a free cheat sheet to find new clients in this space. So if you just want to get a cheat sheet to find your first client, go ahead and text DOPE CFO to 345-345. There's lots of opportunities. So if you're ready to grab your shovel, let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you so much, Summer, for your time.
Sorry about the puppies.
We all have kids.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This is Button, who everyone has seen.
Oh, cute. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
Go to dopecfo.com. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. So you could check us out, go into our Facebook group. We have live discussions in there. We actually have one Andrew needs to jump on in a few minutes. So it's full of experts within the space. Summer, myself, Andrew, we can all answer your questions. So join us, just look for DOPE CFO on social media.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.